So it seems Square Enix is in a little hot water as a major shareholder has dropped a 100-page presentation criticizing how the company is managed and are rallying other shareholders. And of course, I actually have the document here, and we're just going to look at their plot points near the end of the video, so make sure to stick around for that. And of course, I am the Daily Pleb. Make sure to like and sub for more gaming content, but let's actually get into the article here. 3D Investment Partners, an infamously aggressive Singapore-based activist investment fund, has published a 100-page presentation highlighting issues in Square Enix's management. As a major shareholder of the game company, owning 14.36%, 3D Investment is calling on other shareholders to join them in sharing frank opinions on Square Enix's ongoing issues. Their purpose is to pursue constructive dialogue with the company's leadership. So as we can see, they clearly are seeing what is going on. They're noticing the patterns of Square Enix's continued flops and disappointments, as Square Enix unfortunately has decided to embrace this sort of woke Western ideology for a lot of their games, including censoring characters and their remasters and their remakes. Clearly it is not going unnoticed, as the prices just aren't there and the revenue just isn't there either. Given that 3D Investment Partners is known for being an activist investor, also known as an investor who seeks to buy significant stakes in companies in order to influence how they are managed, often targeting underperforming or poorly managed companies. So there you have it. These people, 3D Investment, have clearly smelled blood in the water because they acquired them earlier this year in April. At the time of their acquirement, however, 3D Investment said that its purpose was purely investment, depending on circumstances, to offer advice or make significant proposals to management. Now it seems they've finally decided to make bolder moves towards influencing the company's operations, and clearly Square Enix needs it. Unfortunately, they're like many other companies right now where they're hiring people in these middle management positions who don't know what they're doing, and well, they've decided to embrace people who will never buy their games instead of their actual fandoms. In the new announcement, the fund argues that despite being a national brand who owns world-class franchises like Final Fantasy and Dragon's Quest, Square Enix has been facing stagnant revenue growth and weak profit margins over the past 3 years, especially compared to peers like Nintendo, Capcom, Bandai Namco, and Konami. Now, of course, if you're in the gaming space at all, you will know the exact reason as to why they're seeing weak profits. The games just aren't there. They're censoring things, they're removing things, they're being openly antagonistic to their players. So naturally, people aren't going to be supporting companies that, quite frankly, hate them. And will Square Enix learn? Who knows? Will 3D Investments be the one to force them to learn? I wouldn't put my money on it. 3D Investment blames this on the underperformance of Square Enix console and mobile game sectors, as well as an exceptionally large write-downs related to canceled games. Interestingly, they also consider the company's arcade and publishing sectors to be synergistic businesses that are ultimately pulling down the company's value with lackluster performance. Square Enix has been on this cancellation spree, though if you ask my opinion, I think Square Enix could immediately turn around with a big profit if they just let my boy Yoko Taro cook with another Nier Automata game. Just let my man cook. He'll cook up something good for you, Square, and don't try to hamper his creative process, but who knows. Although Square Enix's plan to reboot within its new midterm strategy for fiscal years 2025 through 2027, 3D Investment implies this plan is insufficient and too vague. Some of the issues cited are the lack of a concrete vision for a long-term recovery plan, low-balled improvement margins, and a lack of concrete execution plans or KPIs for measures meant to address the company's problems. So they want essentially a bullet point list saying, hey, this is the problem we're facing at Square, this is what we're going to do about it. And 3D Investment says that's not what they're getting, and that's what they want. They want to know about Square Enix cutting the fat from the meat here. It seems that 3D Investment already approached Square Enix's CEO, Takahashi Kiryu, with an analysis of these problems and proposal for improvements back in October of 2025, but was not satisfied with the response. Allegedly, they only received a brief email that insisted that the current plan was adequate enough. As a result, 3D Investments had decided to take things to the public and getting other shareholders on board, which is a common method activists use to lobby for their initiatives. Now let's actually look sort of at what the bullet point that 3D Investment partners are pointing out with Section 1, challenging of the medium-term management plan. So Square Enix's current medium-term management plan raises concerns as to whether it can effectively resolve these management challenges. So number one, they're laying out an expression that appears to justify the neglect of critical management challenges. Square Enix's current medium-term management plans appear to justify its lackluster performance under slogan reboots, while failing to articulate a forward-looking vision. The current medium-term management plan is defined as reboots, a 3-year period of restarting. It discloses a revenue decline plan and a profit margin improvement targets that significantly lag behind competitors. It makes no commitment to quantitative targets that look beyond the present stagnation. So basically they're saying, hey, you're not making a plan to improve, you're making a plan on your decline. As an investor, this ain't it, chief. Failure to present concrete measures for individual management challenges. Square Enix's current medium-term management plan falls short of presenting solutions to individual management challenges. Effective solutions to management challenges require KPIs and quantitative targets, concrete measures, and milestones with specific execution plans, which they don't have. Square Enix's current medium-term management plan merely outlines vague directions and lack any disclosure of KPIs, quantitative targets, execution plans, rendering it an insufficient solution. Section 2, their stagnation of revenue growth. Of course, I don't have to explain this to you guys. You have been seeing it all over that they just aren't there in their revenue because their games are flopping or at least underperforming. Stagnation of operating profit. Once again, I don't think I have to explain that to any of you guys. And that's it. That's their through point problems that they have here, just with the management and the lack of growth from Square Enix, which of course us gamers know is because they're not making games for us. They're making games for people who hate gamers and will never even purchase their products. But guys, sorry for the long-winded article here, but I wanted to bring you guys this news, so make sure to leave a comment discussing what you think will happen to Square Enix. Do you think they'll change? Do you think 3D Investment partners will be able to rally shareholders to force a change? Or do you think this is just something that will fizzle out within a couple of weeks? And while you're down there, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye now.